This is legit S chassis heaven out here. We're finally doing some cool stuff to the car today. We're here at Alpha Auto Projects in Hyogo. Toshi, you guys know him as Alpha S15 on Instagram. This time though, we're not playing around. You know, we bought the car, we did a full service on it last time, we checked everything and we did some modifications, the height, the wing, and he's helped me get some parts for the S15 in the last few days, so I can finally hear, you know, I've been driving it around and it hasn't seemed like it's even a turbo car because of how stock it is. You can't even hear the turbo. So brand new parts, Greddy intercooler, Greddy pod filter, we got a radiator, Greddy radiator, and oil cooler going on the car too. We're going to get started with the intercooler and pod filter right now, and I've got about 20 or 30 minutes of plastic to take off the car because, as you guys know, all this has to come off, all this plastic. There's stuff in there that has to come off and move. So let's get started. So finally got the front bar off. This is what it looks like without the front bar, with the stock side mount intercooler still. Just pulled all of this plastic off the front bar over there. So now we have room to get this intercooler out. We're gonna move this stock washer bottle as well. I think there's a bracket that comes with the Greddy front mount kit. And I'm hoping we don't have to trim any of the radiator support, but we might have to, so we'll see what happens. So right now we're about halfway through. I've mounted up the intercooler and cut the front bar out from where it's fouling. I didn't want to bother you guys with all that boring stuff, but as you can see, the Greddy intercooler is mounted. I've moved the horns up here and we've installed the pod filter, so now the actual airbox is out of the way and you can start to see how there is more and more room coming out in the engine bay now to work. Once we remove all the piping for the intercooler and everything to get that in, we will start to see a more cleaner S15 engine bay. We just have to drill the hole where the battery tray is and then we should be good to go to start with the piping. So as you know, the car, last time we ended up putting the intercooler on, and you know this car is like super stock, so in order for it to be Kansai, you know, approved, and before we can drift it, I feel like just to keep the engine happy and stuff, we need to do a few modifications. So we ended up putting the intercooler on last time and it took so long. We were here till 7 o'clock at night trying to grind out the battery tray because you need to make the hole for the intercooler piping, and it just took so long. It was getting freezing cold. Anyway, we got it done, but I still had to run the stock blow-off valve, and what I've done today is I've actually we've taken stock blow-off valve is no longer in there now. Today what we're doing, we've got oil cooler. I don't know if I'll get to that today. We got a Greddy oil pan and we got a Greddy brand new Greddy radiator ready to go in. That stuff's just going to keep the engine happy and the temps low, because I noticed even driving on the highway to Tokyo and back for events, just highway cruising, because I've got the two Defi gauges in there, the water and oil actually gets to about 100, 110 sometimes, which is pretty wild just for highway driving. So I'm hoping with these few mods, these will keep the SR20 happy, and we're pretty much, you know, close to being able to drift it now after these mods are done. We'll turn up the boost a little bit too, because that's obviously a must. But the place to be doing it here is at Alpha Auto Projects. Toshi's lent me some tools for the day, and I'm just doing it out here in the car park so I don't get in the way, because they're actually super busy. They're building a lot of cars in there for Matsuri and stuff, so super stock. So all this unnecessary stuff, the old boost, the blow off valve and stuff, all has come out. You can see all of these pipes and stuff that I've taken off were all causing like air leaks. All the vacuum lines just corroded after like 30 years almost of abuse. So yeah, right now I'm taking out the radiator. We're going to put our new radiator in. I need to grind back a little bit more of the battery tray here because the intercooler piping was actually hitting. And on this side here, we're just going to cap off where the old blow-off valve used to plumb back into. I'm not going too crazy. I'm not trying to make this look like a show car inside, just because, you know, in Japan sometimes to get it drifting, you do things the right way, but you get what's done is just needed. And that's the approach I'm trying to take with this car, is to not start removing everything off the car that I don't need. You know, just get it ready for drifting, make it reliable, make it obviously fit all the parts properly, do it professionally so nothing fucks out of me. And remember that in Japan, the idea is actually to make the car reliable and have fun, as much seat time as possible. So this car, you know, if there's something, I don't need to make a whole new pipe for just something small. So we'll just cap it off, small stuff like that, get the car ready for drifting, put these parts on, make it run cool. And we've also got our suspension coming, B-knuckle 2.5. I ordered the V3, but I decided not to go with it. So Toshi's giving it to one of his friends, and I'm going to opt for the 2.5 just because I think with a street car, you don't want to be running too much tow out. In the V3, you have to run a super shitload of tow out, and the track is super wide too. So with the stock guards on the car still too, I've already got 17x9 plus 12 gram lights in the front, and they're already kind of sticking out too. So we're just trying to keep the look of the car, not look like a four-wheel drive too. Radiator is now in. You can see we're ready to bleed it up. I've just got the bleeding tool here ready. I've cleaned up a bunch of stuff, and we're just waiting for the intercooler pipe. Now it has to be welded up because we took the stock blow-off valve off. We had to plumb up where the intake, it used to plumb into the intake, and now I'm just cleaning up a few things here. So pretty much we are getting there. Just waiting for the intake pipe to be welded up so we can put that back on and bleed up the coolant, and then we'll be on to the oil cooler and oil pan. Currently just bleeding up the cooling system at the moment, and checking for air leaks, making sure everything's good, checking for coolant leaks as well. Everything is checking out, so give you a little rev later once it's all bled up, but it does sound a lot better than it used to as well. That's the sound we've been waiting for so long. New radiator is in. Old blow-off valve stock from factory, gotten rid of that. Got rid of the plumb back system, so now it's just make some cool sounds. So yeah, pretty much all we have left to do on the engine at the moment is find a boost controller, put the Greddy oil pan on, and put the oil cooler on. Alright, so today's mission is to put on the Greddy Trust oil cooler that we have for the car. Yesterday we did the radiator, and driving home the water actually didn't go over 85 for the first time, which is really good, even for just driving. Another thing was it actually sounded like a turbo car for the first time after paying all this money. It sounds great now. So today our job is, I've just started at the moment, taken off the front bar. We have to get to the back of the intercooler, because we're actually going to mount it just in between the intercooler and the aircon and radiator and stuff there. So that's where it says for it to be mounted. This is our Greddy oil cooler, brand new. It comes with the housing to go onto the engine, and then it comes with the thermostat kit relocation, and you can put obviously your there's the bung for a temperature sensor. And yeah, it's cool. They've got pretty much like everything's ready to go. They've all measured it out, all the lines are there. They also give you all these brackets too, and there's like the manual there. That's pretty much, I don't know if you can see that, but it says to mount it like that for this kit. So that's what we're going to do. So yeah, this is the Greddy oil cooler that we're going to be mounting to keep the oil happy in this car. And then pretty much after that, for reliability, we only have left is the Greddy oil pan underneath, and I think I'll have to do that on a separate day because it's my daily, so I can't be leaving the car here. I have to finish what I do so I can drive home at night. So yeah, we're going to start in the oil cooler today because I think that's the most important part right now. So pretty much ready to put the bumper on. This morning I want to show you guys that pretty much finished up doing everything on the front, so that needed the bumper to come off, needed the intercooler to come off because we need to mount the oil cooler behind the intercooler. So all that stuff is done, and then obviously the other part's going to be really tricky as well. We're going to need to take the shroud out and stuff later to get to the oil filter housing, but when we get around to that, we'll get around to that. But for now, pretty much I want to tell you guys that I've mounted the oil cooler in the factory, well not factory, but where the Greddy tells you to mount it. But I ran the lines a different way just because, I'll show you guys here. So this is where Greddy tells you to mount your oil cooler vertical, and the line's coming out this way. So one of the lines is actually coming out from that top fitting, and it goes underneath just behind the headlight, and I put this crinkle stuff on it too so it actually doesn't rub on anything. And another one, I don't know if you can see, that comes out behind and actually goes underneath and comes out here. So this one's the top here, and what I've actually done is I've mounted the block, this block here, I've mounted it this way just because I wanted to put it in the engine bay. Normally Greddy tells you to mount it down just behind the washer bottle here, but with drifting and everything here, I want to keep this area free just in case we have a crash or it just doesn't feel right for me. I don't think Greddy did that part very well. Like, it's good for a street car if you're just driving the car, but in terms of mounting it there for like drifting and stuff, I think it's a bit risky. Not to say that we plan to crash, but just to be safe, like with oil spills and all that. So what I've done is I've mounted it here. You actually can, I've tested the oil filter, so even with the battery back in here as well, you can take the oil filter off and then just take it off, slide it up through here, or you can actually slide it through there as well. So I like that I'm actually pretty proud of myself. I've used the factory brackets that they gave us too. I just flipped around one of the brackets, and I actually had to flip around the two hoses that they gave us. There's two 120s, two straights, and I think two 45s degrees. I had to flip around some of the things. So I had to take a 45 and put it where a straight was, and take a straight and put it where a 120 was, just to make that work. So because I've routed the lines a custom way, I had to trim one of the lines also for the front, just so it doesn't kink. But pretty much all we have left to do now is we actually have to mount the block down underneath there, and then they have two straights, so then I've got a straight. I might have to actually, if I can't make the 120 work, I'll have to get another 45 or 90 just to make that work off the position from the block now, because as you can see down here, I need two 90s to go straight down, and they're going to go to where the engine is. But I think it looks pretty good from where it is here. I know it looks on video like it might be really bad accessibility wise, but I've tested it and it actually works with the battery in as well, so that's a really good thing. And I think it's not too cluttered in here as well still, even though it looks like it is. Once I tidy up a bit more wiring and stuff later on, and maybe relocate the battery to the boot, that will help too. But for right now, I think it's going to be really good this way. So yeah, pretty much today, took off the intercooler, mounted the front core of the oil cooler on, ran the lines, one up behind the headlight and one underneath, kind of the same way as they told you to do it on the instructions. And yeah, other than that, we're actually getting there now. So all we pretty much have is that, and to put the baffled Greddy sump oil pan on as well next time. And then pretty much in terms of power wise and reliability, all I really wanted to do now is just get a boost controller to turn up the boost a bit more, make it feel a little bit better, because it's only running like 5 or 6 psi at the moment. But we're pretty much there in terms of drifting. The drift knuckle kit I took back. I ordered the V3, but I think it's going to be a bit too aggressive for the street, just driving, long distance driving and stuff. So I've ordered the V2.5s, which should come in a week or two from now. So we've got to get that on. Might have to shim the diff a little bit too, but pretty much other than this, she's almost ready to go until we can drift her. So that's going to be a very, very, very exciting time to be able to drift our own S15 drift car in Japan.